If we were supposed to know all the details of life from day one, I suspect we would have been given an A to Z life manual at birth. There are a multitude of questions about existence that even our friend Einstein failed to fully comprehend. So perhaps we shouldn't be surprised that life's mysteries of the universe are supposed to be just that, secrets. Of course, many do claim to have the answers. Thousands of religious followers and spiritual gurus dedicate their entire lives to living out their destiny. There are so many differing belief systems. If you're on the search for answers, one can be excused for being a little bit confused at times. For those with the intent to find out more, these mysteries are tantalizing and can ignite an inquisitive journey of personal expansion. Don't let the fact that there are so many different beliefs and claims of salvation put you off delving a little deeper. On the contrary, they should make you feel excited and encourage a gentle exploration of it instead. So perhaps it's the discovery, experiencing and learning that's the exciting bit. Human beings need food and water to stay alive, love and laughter to feel alive. But what actually starts a human heart pumping? What is the fuel to kickstart life? There's no ignition or pull cord. A tiny baby's heart starts gently beating only 3 weeks after the moment an egg is fertilized, and then trillions of cells get together and work their magic. A human being is then created with individual features, intestines, bones, muscles, brains, nerves. And the bits, of course, that we can't see: thought, choice, emotion, imagination. It seems like an awful lot of miracle work in order to simply pass on some slightly upgraded DNA, doesn't it? But what if we put aside for a moment what people have told us to believe, or what science or many ancient scripts have told us is right? Feel for yourself instead. What really resonates? It's a general philosophy to think that if we're kind and behave in a good neighbourly way here on Earth, then we'll find out what life was all about when we finally reach the pearly gates. It's good to be kind and neighbourly, but this really should be considered our minimal standard of behaviour, purely for the sake of decency, rather than because we read it out of a book somewhere. I wonder if we'd be as laid back if we were informed we only had a matter of days or weeks to live. We all physically die, so wouldn't it be great if instead of approaching death with a backpedaling, wide-eyed sense of trepidation, we felt at ease, at peace with stepping into the next chapter? Existence on this planet is transient for all living things. Our physical bodies will eventually give up. Animals, plants, bacteria, no living thing escapes physical death. This is a fact. But it is one thing many people find so terribly hard to face up to. We're all taught from a very early age that death is upsetting, and yes, quite often it can be when it involves pain and suffering. It can be traumatic for those left behind when we know we're not going to see or hug our loved ones again. Would it help ease the pain if we viewed death in a completely different way? As simply the end of one particular phase and the start of another. One of the most stable facts of science is that energy never dies. It can neither be created nor destroyed, but it is always transforming. Why would life energy be an exception to that rule? Modern science is in a continual search of these elusive invisible forces. Unlike the ancient Egyptians who just knew with certainty that the next phase for us was in the land of the two fields. it was as real a place for them as London might be for us. One could not enter the land of the two fields unless the god Osiris opened the door to the afterlife for you. You had to earn your way into the afterlife by doing good deeds in life. The more compassion you showed in life, the lighter your heart becomes, and only light hearts get tickets into the lands of the two fields. The goddess, Mat, would weigh your heart after your death, just to make sure it carried no heaviness. Is it a coincidence that crime was virtually non-existent in ancient Egypt? Or the spiritual shamanic beliefs of an isolated Amazonian tribe who are entirely attuned to nature and believe we are all part of an energy pattern that is interconnected? The afterlife, in this case, sits side by side with their physical life. So what if we roll with the concept that the next phase is there ready for us when we're done here? So what are we? In simplistic terms, we're an individual consciousness interacting with the world around us. A self-aware observation and interaction unit that is able to emotionally grow through experience. We hold a certain life frequency which we cannot detect in an obvious way. Apart from learning and growing through experiences, the actual genderless life energy inside your body never changes. Your physical body will eventually stop, and your faculties may deteriorate with time or illness, as we're only too aware. Just like the car you've owned for years, it has taken you on incredible journeys, but it has served its purpose, and now it must be discarded. It's simply time for you to get out. It may be sad, but you wouldn't normally think twice about discarding an item that has served its purpose. John Lennon said, "I'm not afraid of death because I don't believe in it. It's just getting out of one car into another." Does the caterpillar really understand what's happening to him when he stops eating his food, he feels himself slowing down, and even has a calling to make his own casket to crawl into? Once he's inside, he seals it up, and then he shuts down and something amazing happens. Enzymes triggered by the caterpillar's hormones turns him from a solid into a liquid. The only thing that doesn't turn into a liquid are his wings, which are always with him, tucked away inside his caterpillar body. Along with his life energy, these are the only things that remain constant during the process. He is then majestically reformed. His antennae, his reproductive organs, and even his eyes have changed. He is naturally metamorphosized into a completely different flying creature of beauty and majesty. Not only has he turned into this beautiful creature, but he also behaves in a completely different way. Instead of crawling, he flies. He no longer eats the leaves he once ate, preferring instead to look for nectar. He also avoids being in competition for food with his old caterpillar self. Do you think he misses being the caterpillar? Did he know he would be morphing into the butterfly? It doesn't really matter. He just got on with moving from one state to another, naturally. His life force remaining fully intact on the way. Now, I'm not suggesting you're going to sprout wings and antennae, but it's not a massive leap of the imagination to think that we move on to something most of us can't even imagine or even comprehend in the here and now, dealing with the all-consuming assault course of physical life. So how can we recognize the spirituality within ourselves? Those who meditate often do so to connect with their highest frequency and to experience the incredible peace and calm which relieves all anxiety and worry. Some just walk through life with a wonderful inherent attunement to everything around them without much effort. This bliss can also be experienced by people who have been fortunate enough to find their calling within a hobby or religion, or perhaps on a professional level. They seem to have an inexplicable connection and passion for what they do. Painters, musicians, authors, teachers, explorers, all losing a sense of time and reality when they become completely focused and wrapped up in the detail. Have you ever become involved in an activity only to lose a few hours in the process? You were in perfect spiritual alignment during these times. Those who enjoy their chosen professions generally do so because of their love of the process, and more often than not, they are inherently rewarded for their devotion to the task. They recognize their calling by following their instinctive pleasures, but admittedly it's more obvious for some than others. It's really not about whether you are brilliantly talented at a particular subject. It simply comes down to your enjoyment and engagement with it. Some of the best musicians in the world are nowhere near the big stage. They'll just play when they want to, and the lucky few around them get to enjoy it. Sometimes we can be taken aback with an experience we simply couldn't explain that'll force us to think outside the box. There are more people than you would think that have had some kind of extrasensory experience. Maybe you're one of them. Perhaps you felt a presence or heard a voice or experienced an unusual sighting. Many of these experiences of separation or astral projection can often be remembered quite vividly by people recalling that they lifted or floated away from their bodies through meditation or near-death experiences, shock, trauma, or perhaps by lucid dreaming. Some can even do it by choice. It's all too real for them. It definitely wasn't a dream, they'll say. There are numerous accounts of those who have experienced what it's like to die, but have been brought back to life by resuscitation. They even describe in great detail the situations that have occurred and the conversations that took place in the area whilst they were clinically dead, floating above in relative peace and comfort as the drama unfolds beneath them. The accounts of these experiences are rich and plentiful and varied and quite reassuringly fascinating. French philosopher Teilhard de Chardin said, "We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience."